Hey guys, Ken here. Welcome back to the channel. Well, I got a lot of cards in yesterday, and I figured why not do an unboxing, right? Some people enjoy those, so that'd be a good thing to do. So let me get my scissors here. I may not need my scissors. Let me see if I can just peel it out. I can just peel it off. Oh, piece of cardboard there. And show you what's inside. Now I think these are all RPPCs. I bought a lot of 50 RPPCs. I didn't know, I kind of took a gamble on it because I didn't know exactly, I didn't see all the cards that were in the lot. All they showed me was what's on the top, and then there was a stack underneath. But I figured because it was RPPCs, there'd be some value in there. So let's see what we got here. Looks like a receipt. I can include that in my taxes. And yeah, all it said on the listing was people and places. So in a little plastic bag here. And let's take that off. And we'll take a look at some of these. Oh, they're all individually sleeved. That's pretty good. Okay. Here's a nice one, a nice portrait. Young man. Sepia tone. And here's a young girl. That looks nice. I'm hoping there's some places in here too. Let's see. I hope it's not all portraits, but you know, they're RPPCs, so they got some value. It looks like a studio portrait of a young boy. And looks like a wedding photo. Yeah, it looks like a bride and maid of honor. Probably early 1900s. That's pretty neat. And here's a baby. A small toddler. And a young girl sitting at a table. Another portrait. Two men standing. This is a studio portrait as well. And let's see what we got here. Looks like a little child laying in a bassinet or a bed. Flip these over. And this was the one, yeah, this was the picture that was actually on the listing. A group photo of a family. And even though, you know, these seem to be all portraits, I'm hoping they're not all portraits, but even if they're portraits, because they're RPPCs, even though they're unidentifiable, now normally I wouldn't have gone for something like this because I was always taught stay away from unidentifiable people because you don't know who they are, you don't know where the photo was taken, what state, what city, what country, whatever. But I noticed that in the times past that I've sold pictures like that, they don't sell for as much normally, but they're still got value because they're still, you know, early 1900s. So he's a chubby little baby. And a little child, another little child. Okay. Man and a woman. Looks like a studio portrait. The cool thing about these studio portraits is the fact that, you know, you get to see what kind of backdrops they used back in the 1900s. You know, I'm a professional photographer, retired, you know, 20 years. And it's just interesting to see, you know, what they used for backdrops and things like that. To me, that's kind of interesting. Here's another one of a little child. And what else we got? This looks like a older couple sitting on a porch. And there's some writing on the back there. That might help identify it. And there's another child. like I said, I had no idea. I took a risk on these because it said people and places. I'm hoping there's some street views and things like that in it. But I figured because it was all RPPCs, there'd be some value in there. And so far, all we've got really is portraits. But they're nice. You know, they're still nice. Here's another group photo. Oh, this is interesting. It's kind of a group photo on a wagon. You can see that. Kind of neat. And here's looks like a family snapshot out in the woods, mother and children. And looks like two small children. Here we go. I think what the seller did is they grouped all the portraits together, and now we're getting into places. Even though some of these places don't have an identifier on them, you have no idea where they are. You know, what state, what city, what year. You know, I can only assume early 1900s. It still makes an interesting picture. There's a young man standing next to a house, looks like a farmhouse. And what do we got here? This is another farmhouse. I suspect back in the 1900s, then these are probably mostly farmhouses. And this looks like, oh, okay. Looks like a little child next to a river. These are all originals because they're all RPPCs. In case you don't know what RPPC stands for, it stands for Real Photo Postcard. It's a process where they took an actual photograph and adhered it to cardstock. And a photograph that was taken by a photographer or by someone, you know, whether it be a professional or an amateur, back in the day, and they just attached it, they adhered it to cardstock. This looks like a farmhouse with a gate. See, there's a little gate there on a fence. And what we got here? It's a group photo, big group photo. I don't know. I can't tell. There's some people dressed, and looks like some people might be dressed in uniform. I don't know. I'll have to look at that under closer, like under a loop or something. That's an interesting photo. And there's some numbers on the back. Not sure what those numbers collate to, but okay, we're back to the portraits. Okay, but here's a young man looking very dapper in his suit. Probably his church-going clothes. You know, what they used to call back in the day, putting on your Sunday best. And here's a portrait of a man, and looks like a studio portrait in a suit. And you know, sometimes they'll handwrite on the back of these what year it is, but sometimes they don't. Let's see what we got here. A couple of workers in a factory, looks like. Maybe brothers. A couple of brothers. Maybe they were starting a business. Pretty interesting. And looks like we got another farmhouse. It's a nice image there. And here's another one of a man in a suit. This is definitely an indoor studio portrait. And what do we got here? It looks like a storefront. Some kind of maybe a boarding house. Not sure. And what else we got here? This looks like a natural bridge, stone bridge or some landscape underneath a bridge. And this one looks really old. Some kind of aerial shot of a scenic. And it's funny because the postcard itself is bigger than the image on this one. The image is kind of small, but it's all part of the same postcard. It's interesting. And we've got another, looks like some kind of a mill. And this is a portrait of two young boys, looks like, in an oval frame. Looks like the inside of a church or inside of a house. No, maybe it's a church because there's pews there. And what do we got here? Like some kind of outside structure. I wouldn't even know what to call this. I'm going to have to research this one. If any of you know what this is, leave a note in the comments because I have no clue what that is. It looks like a silo. Maybe a farm silo or some kind of manufacturing tower. Let's see what else we got. This is another lake with someone standing on a bridge over a body of water. And let's see what else. Here's a young lady standing in front of a building with some handwriting on the side. And also some handwriting on the back. The group photo looks like a family shot inside a home. And looks like we got another bridge over a natural rock formation, maybe off the ocean somewhere. And we got another baby. Another baby. If you're into people portraits, you might be interested in those. This looks like a family. A mother, older daughter, and two younger toddlers. And one thing I get asked this as a photographer all the time. People sometimes ask me, why were their faces, see their faces? Why were their faces always serious? Why they didn't smile, And the reason for that is because, see, in photography, the technology wasn't the way it is now, where you've got fast shutter speeds that can capture an image like that. Back in the day, you had an old, what they call view camera, and all they could do was take the lens cap off the lens and then just let the ambient light expose the picture. And that might take 2 or 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. And then they would put the lens cap back on. And it was much easier to hold a straight, serious face than it would be to hold a smile for 5 minutes. So that's why they did that. At least that's what I've learned. Now, what is this? I can't tell what this is. Some people standing, maybe some people panning for gold. I'll have to look at that under a loop. And what else we got here? Rock face. This says Lemons Petrified Wood Park. Okay, so this has an identifier on it. Some petrified wood carvings or petrified wood natural woods. And this has got some writing on it too. Summit of Cedar Park. This is another park. Early 1900s. And like I said, just because it's a park, that probably hasn't changed in 100 years. Because it's an RPPC and it was early 1900s, and it was maybe, a lot of these postcards are over 100 years old. That makes them all antiques. that gives it some value, you know. Here's another scenic, looks like some mountains. Yeah, this looks like the inside of a restaurant. Some people. I don't know if it's staged or not by the photographer. It might be, or it might be just a snapshot, but it's kind of an interesting photo. And got a couple more here. This looks like some houses on a street. Right there. And a couple more. This looks like an old car in the corner of the picture next to a house with a family on the porch. See the, where's the car? The car is right there. In front of the, can you see that? The car is right there. Pretty interesting. And the last one here is some people standing in front of a home or some kind of a building. And that's it, guys. That's the lot of RPPCs that I got. Pretty interesting photos. I have to say that it was more portraits than I was expecting. I was hoping it'd be more 50-50 split. But you never know. Sometimes you take sometimes you take a risk. Sometimes you take a chance. But because, like I said, they're all RPPCs, real photo postcards, dated back in the day, taken back in the day they were, alive, those people. I think it gives it some value. So, these are good for historians sometimes, even though it doesn't have an identifier on it. Historians love these types of cards because they love to dig into the deep, and they dig into the research of these photos and, different style of clothing if they're up on that for the time period. And, it really helps them identify, and they really get some enjoyment out of identifying those types of photos. Okay, but that's it. And those are going to be going up on eBay this week. So if you saw anything there that you liked, make sure you check out my eBay store. The link is below. And I have a separate category called RPPC, Real Photo Postcards, and that's where these will be. You can go to my store and just click on the side drop-down menu, and it'll say, just scroll down until you see RPPC Real Photo Postcards, and it'll be in that category. So hope you enjoyed that. And as always, if you got anything out of this video, and I hope you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button. It helps the channel. I appreciate it. I'm going to go. But you guys have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care, and bye for now.